Yes, Christian Finnegan is available, and I was going to put a cap on it and start drinking and go to bed, but I figured I'd call a sober friend who is not only that, but one of the smartest guys I know, but really has got a great way of talking and understanding culture and the current moment, and is paying a lot of attention, as always, to what young people think, which I think is really important. And I'm really happy to have you here to talk about the latest, because honestly, I think you're one of the best people to talk to. So I'm glad you were available here late on a Friday night. Thanks for joining me. Well, it's only 5 p.m., but
Well, thanks for having me. And I don't necessarily know that I'm clued into what young people think as much as I am aware that young people think, and that young people are creating the world, and that we are the tail, not the dog. That they are setting the conversation, and that all of this stuff that we're experiencing, or at least a lot of it, is really downstream from online culture. And that seems to be the thing that gets glossed over. And people say things like, oh, social media is a cancer, which is what the governor of Utah said today, and things like that. But it's not. We need to get more granular than that, because I've never spent time on 4chan. I don't do Discord. I don't do those things, but I know that they exist, and I know that I'm sorry to just spew right in, but it's like I told you, I've been like walking around in impotent rage about this for the last 3 hours.
Well, I'm glad to tap that rage. The shooter trafficked in those spaces, and that's why it matters. But we're used to these when terrible things happen, or when a killing happens like this. This is pretty unique. Assassination, a political assassination, or a plane crashes, or the Boston bomber. The mainstream television news, they're live, and they're bringing on their quote experts, and they're bringing on their national security experts who have sources in the FBI. So 2 days later, 1 day later, they've got sources. They're getting certain things wrong, certain things right, but they're relying on a lot of traditional kind of sources and venues. And in this case, people like Ken Delanian at MSNBC and others, whose job it is to get it right or getting it wrong. The Wall Street Journal got it wrong.
Yeah, either they're getting it wrong, or they are willfully not getting into the weeds about it, but in a way that gives an impression towards a narrative. That people, and I don't just single out Ken Delanian, but certainly I would group him in this group. They're willing to let a narrative sort of float out there if it sort of fits framing that they, as sort of 20th century minds, are comfortable with. Oh, he's a left-wing killer, he's a right-wing killer. That's just not the way these things seem to be happening at this point. It seems like a lot of these shooters are performing for each other, that this is to impress the other dudes in their message boards, and they're using the language that this meme culture of sort of jokes upon jokes upon jokes upon jokes, that when a fascist writes, or when a shooter writes, "Hey fascist, catch," on a bullet, that you can't just take that at face value and say, oh, well, clearly that must mean he must support Bernie Sanders, and he must he must want to be a trans rights person. Like, that's just not what that means. If anything, it's an ironic signaling from one group of fascists to another. Honestly, I mean, I'm a little out of my depths on that, but I mean, I've been listening to news all day. I've not heard one person say the word groypers, and that seems to be, to me, where this is coming from. These are sort of Nick Fuentes aligned right-wing people who think that Charlie Kirk was a fascist because he was too cruel to them. Not that he was too cruel to black people or trans people or anything like that. Is that they didn't like him because they thought he was too moderate.
And you made the point before we hit record about that this country and other places like Egypt and Israel have a history of the people who are the assassins being the extremists, meaning they killed Yitzhak, what's his name, Rabin. They killed Anwar Sadat and Malcolm X. Those were the three great points that you made to me. You make the point.
Yeah, but
why am I here? Why am I even here?
That oftentimes, I'm not going to say all the time, because certainly, James Earl Ray, there's certainly people who assassinate people from the other side of the political aisle for various reasons. But at least it feels like in my lifetime, at least half the time, these assassinations have been carried out by people ostensibly on the same side of the spectrum, that they are people who believe that they've been betrayed by the Yitzhak Rabins or Anwar Sadats or Malcolm X's, and to not even have had that sort of, sure, a lot of the news coverage over the last couple of days is, hey, we don't want to assign motive yet, and yet probably left wing, could have been trans, you know what I mean? They're willing to let that sort of waft out there into the bloodstream, but doesn't past experience show these experts that the fact that it was probably or quite possibly an extremist on the same side as Charlie Kirk is as valid a possibility? I don't understand the reticence. I think that, again, this is another example of mainstream media wanting so hard to not appear left wing or not appear liberal that they will 100% just accept any right wing framing and treat that with good faith. And even when they're proved otherwise, won't go back and correct themselves.
I haven't been paying as close attention as I normally would for several circumstances over the last couple of days. But the other thing I did see is that Utah governor basically asking, the obvious question after a shooting like this is, what was the motivation of the shooter? Who was it? I mean, we jumped to the conclusions right away. I mean, as soon as I saw an old man on his knees, I was like, that guy's mad because his kid was trans. Like, I did my whole thing.
Sure.
And so in this case, Spencer Cox, is that his name? The Utah governor, he basically said, catch this fascist or whatever. And so what do you think? He too is then misinforming. He's sitting here talking about misinformation, and he doesn't know that that is a gamer meme. He doesn't know that. His people didn't tell him that. There's too many old.
Or if they did, they just omit that information.
Maybe.
And I'm not going to say it's 100% overt and malicious, although in certain cases I believe it is. But let's give Spencer Cox the benefit of the doubt, because he seems to be trying to take a reasoned, empathetic stance to all of this. They will let that shit waft out if it sort of implies a certain narrative, and they will leave out the fact that, like, the bullet that apparently killed Charlie Kirk had a meme on it that was about, like, furries and like trans furries, and but like an insult, like, as far as I know, this, is that a bulge or whatever, you can look it up yourself. These are jokes upon jokes upon jokes that have sort of lost any context other than to the initiates, to like the really hardcore Discord or 4chan type people. And again, I'm 52 years old. I don't know this terminology well, but at least I understand that I don't understand. And to see these people just trot out these musty kind of like, well, he said, hey, fascist catch, so that must mean he's left wing. Like, not everything is the Weather Underground. It's not 1968 anymore. We have to update our fucking framing on what domestic terrorist looks like.
It's such an important point. All these points you're making, I'm glad that we connected to talk about this. I mean, people are reacting to this in all kinds of ways, predicting all kinds of things. Elected leaders reacting one way, and some elected leaders in another way. Media, and it's hard to follow, and people are scared right now. Man, I have heard from a lot of people, and in the midst of this, there's school shootings and swattings happening all over the country, and so we're really at a fever pitch right now. We're really up there, very tense, headed into the weekend in America. And I have, I got to ask you, because you're one of the most reasonable, critically thinking people, and certainly would never be scared to disagree with me or anybody, I think, politely. But I also think, like in this case with you, I just really want to know what you think about some of the conspiracy theories, because I get some smart people and reporters saying things that are making me, want to challenge them. But is there anything that you've heard so far that makes that, what questions, just asking questions, what questions does Christian Finnegan have about any of the wild conspiracies that have come out of this already?
I don't, honestly, I'm not 100% sure which conspiracy theories. The only straight up conspiracy theories I've been hearing about have been between like Candace Owens and Laura Loomer,
Well, let me
blaming
throw it at you.
Netanyahu and stuff like
Let me
that.
just throw this one at you. There are a lot of questions around the attempted assassination of Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, and that we never saw pictures specifically of the ear and all that. I think that's the main question.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I definitely.
And so people called that a flag. It was, huh?
It to me, it reeks. There's
Right.
a stink surrounding that.
A lot of smart people saying that one reeks. That being said, I don't think that Donald Trump or his campaign or anybody had anything to do with that shooter. I haven't seen the evidence. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. In this case, a lot of people are saying the one that I'm hearing the most is that this somehow was ordered by someone as a way to distract from the Epstein files. I personally find that stupid. And the reason I find it stupid is because, yes, it will distract from the Epstein files for 2 days, maybe a week. And we will go right back to the Epstein files because it is a media dream. The Epstein files is great for politics and it's great for media. It's sex, it's salacious, it's potentially Donald Trump and other powerful people. It ain't going nowhere. It's dumb to think that it would be a distraction, but maybe that's how dumb they are. But I just don't buy it. I just don't buy any conspiracy that would require more than 2 people. Go ahead, tell me, play it out. This shooter was who? He was hired by who? When? How? So I have all these questions. And I wonder if you want to respond to any of that.
Well, I think that there's a middle path to saying between this is a multi-level conspiracy between Kash Patel and whatever, and saying that it's nothing we can do about it. This is just what happened. I think that there is an infrastructure in place that is well oiled at this point to take any topic that is advantageous to MAGA and put that in the media crosshairs, and the mainstream media not wanting to seem like they're, again, not wanting to look liberal or not wanting to look like they're not taking it seriously, will just jump at any fucking shiny object the right wing pulls out. And so even if you don't believe that there was a conspiracy to send this kid up onto the roof to shoot Charlie Kirk as a way of distracting from Epstein, the sort of right-wing propaganda arm, and by that I'm talking not just about the actual elected officials or employees or whatever. I'm talking about just online posters, just MAGA people, your uncle. There is a immediate embracing of, this is the story now. This is the story, not what the story was before. This is what we're focused on, and this is what's important. And if this had been, and I'm leaving open room for the fact that maybe we're going to uncover that this kid was secretly a massive liberal, and in that he was trying to murder Charlie Kirk in order to get more hits for Sam Cedar. Like who the fuck knows? I mean, I like, maybe I'll leave open the possibility that is true.
Sam into this.
I was trying to think of what's the analog, and that's very disrespectful to Sam.
It's terrible. I'm sorry. Sam's actually here. Sam, sorry.
But I really think that it's more just that people don't even need to be told anymore. And people have been waiting. Even people who understand that the Epstein shit is shady, they want to get off of it. They just want it to go away. And the easiest way for that to go away is to have something else to talk about, and something else to feel righteously indignant about. That's not just talk about, but to feel, instead of having to be on the defensive, to be on the offense. And I think that it's a very well-oiled machine at this point. When an opportunity comes up for the whatever, the Nick Fuenteses of the world, all of the sort of on the Milos of the world, the Laura Loomers, anytime that there is a chance for them to go into offense mode, they don't need to be told. They're just going to do that. And one thing I was saying before we got online that is just very annoying to me is that, I know you have said, and I know you were talking about Bill B in DC had that post about
well, he texted me. You want me to read it, or?
Oh yeah, sure. If he doesn't mind.
Well, set it up. At what were you going to say about it?
Well, I think. Well, no, you read his tweet, and then
he said we were talking about it and texting about it. Bill, and my friend Kevin, who some listeners may know, And Bill said this guy's most likely to be a Gamergate weirdo without much more of an ideology than personal narcissism and general nihilism. Welcome to postmodern terror. Now, I don't think that's necessarily true. I think that he's also the son of a Mormon sheriff in Utah, where 80% of people voted for Donald Trump. I mean, I think that matters too. But just to be clear, I think it matters what Bill is saying about postmodern terror and Gamergate weirdo and all of the other ideologies that you already kind of touched on, but didn't quite describe it that way.
Yeah, no. First of all, I have not heard one person in a position of media authority mention the term Gamergate, which is the skeleton key to understand so much of this. I mean, I had reposted something on Blue Sky. There was an article from Deadspin whenever Gamergate first happened, basically saying Gamergate is the future of culture wars in America, and it's completely been true. And the thing is, there's always been this. Gutter, cesspool, internet cesspool, where a lot of these sort of nihilistic people function. And it's obviously only gotten worse as online communities have become, as the online world has matured over the past few decades, that's become even more sophisticated and maybe harder to penetrate for normies like you and me. But the difference, so you can say, yeah, this guy is from that world and he's just a nihilist and he's just like a narcissist and he's just sort of trying to perform for his weirdo meme lord, edgelord peers. The problem is that only one political party in this country has actively recruited from that pool, from that cesspool. Only one political movement in this country is basically using those weirdos as soldiers, essentially, as cultural warriors, whether it's in the making of memes or whether it's in the swatting of people or whether it's in doxing professors,
Yep.
that they have decided to weaponize this group of weirdos. And no one deserves what happened to Charlie Kirk. I mean, we always have to remember that when we express glee or give in to the glee that maybe might cross your mind when something like this happens, we're not fighting them. We're actually joining them. That the fighting them is to hold on to the knowledge that people have humanity and dignity and that every person deserves personal safety and liberty. At the same time, you can acknowledge that this is, I wouldn't call it chickens coming home to roost because that's, a loaded term and all that, but this event flows, it's downstream from Charlie Kirk and from this world that has weaponized these online weirdos, that have sort of used these guys as foot soldiers to sort of bully the online public by, flame wars and all sorts of things, again, and I'm 52, so I don't want to use all the terminology, but they have, they didn't create this, but they've used this over the past 10 years, these people. And I guarantee you, I promise you, I bet 1/3 of the people hired in Doge probably have interacted with this dude in a message board at some point, because it's the same people. All of the, when Ron DeSantis got in trouble because his online media director put Nazi or put fascist imagery in an online video.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That guy is now working for the federal government. He's now an important person. I don't remember in what context, so I'm talking out my ass slightly. But you played with fire. You're being burned by the fire you made.
That's what Matthew Dowd got fired for. What you just said. You're fired.
Oh, really?
You are
He said that. He said that literally.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, it's disgusting, and nothing. We get nothing. And I'm not saying that obviously a lot of people have been jumping. I'm sorry.
What's disgusting?
I'm saying it's disgusting that in order to show how even-handed and open-minded are anyone to the left of, I wouldn't even say it to the left of center, to the left of center right, if anyone expresses does any sort of math of, oh, this happened and that equals this, who connects the dots in any way, has to be shunned and publicly put in the stockade and fired, because MSNBC or CNN or whoever, they need to show like, look how unbiased we are. And it would be nice if that sort of grace was shown in the other way too, because if so, then nobody would know Charlie Kirk's name. Because
right. Yeah. I mean, there's two other big questions I definitely want to get your take on. One is keeping score. That's what I'll call it. This is the block where we talk about keeping score, meaning who is more violent, the left or the right? Who is more likely to commit a political assassination or blow up a building filled with children or leave pipe bombs at the DNC? Who is more likely to shoot up a school or kill somebody? That whole thing, keeping score. Today, I think John Jr. said the bullets are only coming from one direction, the left. The left is violent as something that we've been hearing for years from anybody from Sean Hannity to Charlie Kirk. And
mind you, he said this after all this additional information had come out. Now, granted, I don't know that he was getting people giving him real-time updates, but it's like this was him still putting out these just straight up lies, just lies after counterfactual information has been released.
So the reason I think it matters to keep score is because it's public policy to keep score. What is killing children? What is killing black people? What is killing white people? What is killing old people? What is likely to cause bankruptcy? What is the best way to get nutrition? Keeping score matters. And when you're doing national security or law enforcement, you got to keep score. You got to find out where the threat matrix is so that you can resource it. I would even argue that if you're running a city or state, you got to keep score of the weather, because you don't want to spend a whole bunch of taxpayer money on snowplows
if you live in Atlanta and there's only one ice storm every 5 years.
Yeah.
So the score is really clear. There are absolutely people who are firmly on the left who have committed terror attacks and violence. But the score, according to every organization and the old federal government scorekeeping, is that the right-wing matrix of threats and people is far, far more common, more likely, even post 9/11. It wasn't foreign Muslim jihadists. It was 100% white, anti-government, anti-abortion, religious zealots. We go on, and we could name anything from Oklahoma City to what happened to those legislators in Minnesota that we conveniently forgot. And then there are those that aren't political and so on. Christchurch in New Zealand, right-winger. So what do we want? Anders Breivik in Norway, right-winger. So scorekeeping matters, and now I'm going to shut up. That's why my diatribe is.
It does matter. It absolutely matters. And it also matters that, that, you know, you even if I'll just give them a steelman, I'll take this from a steelman perspective. The strongest version of their argument, which is that let's say that it is, let's say it is more left wing. It's not, but let's say it is, or let's say it's impossible to say it's everybody. Only one side of the political argument, in terms of its elected officials, is trying to take steps to mitigate these events that affect all of us. Only one side of the event is actually trying to make changes to minimize these sort of events or to work against them. One side is actively trying to, if not encourage them, then to let them fester untouched. Like, there's only one side of the political equation that's general policy is to let the cancer run its course unabated. One side is saying we should do chemo, we should try to remove the tumor, and the other side is saying no, we're not going to do anything, and then trying to blame the other side when the cancer runs roughshod. It's as I think I said, a few weeks ago, it's like we are being doomed in this country by the presumption of good faith for people who don't have it.
or refuse to act in it. And it's maddening. It's maddening.
It's maddening indeed, and all good points. The other thing I want to ask you is, how are we as thoughtful, empathetic, righteous, open-minded, critically thinking, responsible adults supposed to think about the assassination of Charlie Kirk? How are we supposed to react to someone we absolutely hated and thought had done terrible things to so many people and was one of the most divisive and influential people that we disagree with, including in my own school district? Turning Point USA was very heavily involved in our school district board of education elections, and they were the reason, in my opinion, that we lost the board. How are we supposed to feel? How are we supposed to react publicly, much less privately? How are you feeling kind of morally and spiritually about his death?
I'm trying to push against my baser instincts, is honestly, like, I'm not going to claim I don't have them, or that I haven't had feelings that made me feel a little gross, or, and I'm not trying to police the way anybody reacts to these things. From a purely practical perspective, I really think it's fucking stupid to be posting a lot of shit about this. We can have conversations with the people we love and trust, and there are such thing as journals. You can just write it in a journal. Not everything has to be broadcast. Like, and I know I feel like a broken record with this, but it's this weird reality of our culture now that the thing we do the most, the thing that taps into our lizard brain most quickly, which is social media, the place we run to when we have just an urge to say something or to scream or to punch something or to break something, is also the thing that is history, is permanent. Do you know what I mean? That it's like, take a breath if you can, take 10 minutes, try, and I'm not forgiving myself for this either, but like, forego the dopamine hit of those 14 likes for the thing that, we're all trying to get that dopamine hit. And I think
I think you just muted yourself on live. I think you just muted yourself on live. Oh man, maybe I muted you. I can't hear him, and he can't hear me. Ah, shit. In the chat, we're live. Can you hear Christian? Because I can't hear him.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
I fucked up.
We're live. He's gonna figure it out.
Raise your hand if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay.
And
I can't hear you.
I don't know what happened.
Oh wait, hold on. Let me fix this.
Okay. He's got
okay.
it.
Now I can hear you.
Okay,
I
got it.
All right. I was so poignant there. You really
Let me see where I actually can play it back for everybody watching live too. Watch this. Watch this. I'm getting good. Watch this. Here it is. This was you, and this is where you stop talking. I think I think everybody should be able to hear this, including you. Here it goes.
For the thing that, we're all trying to get that dopamine hit, and I think
that's where you ended. And
okay. I think we're all trying to get that dopamine hit, and the problem is that the thing that will give you the dopamine hit is the acknowledgement of people. When you post something, you want faves, you want retweets, and this is all cliche, but you want that acknowledgement of like, I said something and people reacted to it. And the way to do that is to take whatever you feel and turn the volume up on it a few notches, to be a little more provocative than you would be if you were talking to some random stranger in the food court. You want, so you have your basest, most primal instincts being emblazoned on a permanent record platform with a government that is literally looking for a reason to crack down on you.
Yeah.
And so just from you have friends, you have family members, you have a diary. Like I said, like there's there's indoor, like what did they say? Like kids swear, like there's indoor language. That's an inside, that's an at-home word. So I'm not going to police the way people react, but for me personally, it's like I'm really trying to not steer into that as best as I can. I mean, I've read a few tweets that made me sort of laugh ruefully, put it that way. But I am doing my best to keep my eyes in a different direction.
I can't wait till we're off air. But that being said, this is the question that a lot of people are grappling with when someone that they hate dies. In this case, someone that is so influential in the movement that they so vehemently are against: fascism, authoritarianism, Christian nationalism, racism, white supremacy, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people at our hangout last night, it's a more private space, but we're pretty honest about how unplussed they were and maybe even gleeful. And you're hearing that not from any electeds, by the way.
Yeah.
And not from, I don't think, influential people in the media, but people are saying it privately. And I am open-minded on it, and my view is violence begets violence, and less suffering is better than more suffering. And I try to be pragmatic about it, but I also just, I don't know. I kind of
there's a middle path. I mean, or there's a third way, as I believe.
Oh, I think it's a nonprofit. That's
no, it is, feel what you feel, but you don't need to broadcast that. And again, I would just remind people that it's when you indulge in those feelings, or when you celebrate that, it might feel like you're fighting back. And I'm certainly not talking about pacifism and being, turning the other cheek in the face of violence and all that. But I'm saying there's a reason. First of all, we're never going to win an asshole contest with these people. Like, if you think that you're going to outkill them, you're wrong. They want to kill you as much as you hate them. They're way more ready to kill you than you are to kill them. That is not, it's not a winning strategy in the long run. Set aside the moral aspects of it. But also, it's just that it feels like you're fighting them, but really you're joining them. And I'm not saying that to be all mamby-pamby and Mahatma Gandhi, but I really do feel that way, that it's a bad road to go down, to really overindulge those things. Feel what you feel, talk to your friends, say whatever the fuck you want, but in terms of what you're going to spend your time focusing on in the future, I'm about to argue with myself here. I mean, there's a difference between being gleeful that a father is dead, and saying, see, this is what I was talking about. Like,
Right.
Those are two slightly different impulses, and I may have used this metaphor in the past, and if so, I apologize. But if you're in the passenger seat and someone is driving the wrong way, and they're driving the wrong way, and then you finally, it's like, you think, no, we're supposed to be going west. And they say, we are going west. You say, no, we're going east. And they don't believe you. And then you finally pass a sign that says that shows you were right and you were going in the wrong direction. Now, you're not happy about it because you're further away from where the fuck you're trying to go. But at least there is that acknowledgement of, like, I'm not fucking crazy. You're admit that you were wrong, can't, so it's that sort of thing, to acknowledge that, yes, there is a satisfaction in knowing that you were right and they were wrong. But once it gets into death and assassinations and shit like that, it's just not going to be a productive way to go.
I guess my last question is, what do you make of the celebration of his life on the front pages of newspapers or anywhere, at Yankee Stadium?
I mean, it's fucking loathsome, and it's disgusting, and it shows just how far we've allowed the right to reframe the narrative. I mean, or it's just a sign that they won, and this is the world that they get to. I mean, we literally had a president of the United States this morning say that he doesn't care about right-wing domestic terrorism. It's like the people on the right wing, well, they're doing it for reasons. They're valid. It's the people on the left that are a problem. And I'm not even paraphrasing. That is like very much what he said on Fox and Friends this morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's beyond irresponsible. That is straight up incendiary. I mean, that is literally just pouring lighter fluid onto this.
Lambeau
And
Field, apparently, where the Green Bay Packers play, Lambeau Field last night, apparently too.
And whatever. I mean, sports is sports. It's another painful reminder of just how, as a luckily, I don't think the NBA is going to do any shit like that. It makes me, honestly though, it makes me happy the NBA is in the off season right now, because if the Knicks had some like moment of silence for Charlie Kirk, I would be going batshit right now. But it is just a reminder of like, this is why I hate sports.
Just to be, I know, I don't think that, make it a little bit more obvious around the nose. Why is it bad to celebrate his life? He was assassinated in cold blood in public. Why is it bad to celebrate him? I know
because it's a sense of proportion. It's a sense of proportion that equal time, or just who are you choosing to celebrate, and who are you not choosing to celebrate? What are you choosing? There's nothing wrong with the president being the president, whoever the president is, releasing a political statement on the death of a political ally or rival, and saying this is a tragedy, this can't be allowed to happen. It's a very different thing when you have the vice president of the United States showing up to help carry his coffin. Like, you are then fully endorsing that this online dude who any normal person probably has never even heard of before 2 days ago. It's revealing. It's revealing is what it is. It really shows you of where things truly are at right now. That this guy, and it's so funny hearing people talk about the cherry picking that is being done to try to paint this guy as a conciliator and as like a reasonable voice. I'll just say this right now to anybody who's never heard of Charlie Kirk, and who thinks, oh, well, maybe this guy really was interested in discourse across the aisle, and just just go to any Charlie Kirk show, literally any, and watch it for 10 minutes and tell me if you think this is the kind of person that the president of the United States, of all the United States, of all American citizens, if this is the kind of person that the political apparatus of the United States should be lining up behind and promoting.
His views were despicable views, all of them. And it wasn't just one thing or one group. The way that he talked about the most marginalized, discriminated against groups in America, the way that he lied, the frequency with which he did it, the passion and, frankly, effectiveness with which he did it was horrific. He was horrific. His views were awful, terrible, anti-American views, Christian nationalist views, and the idea that anybody would celebrate his life. I had a friend jump into our high school chat where there's 20 guys who wrote a bold statement, and it was been very ugly ever since, as it should be, because this is like, it's almost like learning that your friend voted for Trump, learning that your friend is mourning Charlie Kirk. Like, how did you not already know that? But still, there are a lot of people who followed this guy and loved him and think he was a good Christian family man. And I said to that guy,
you know what, that's even okay with me. That's totally fine with me. There's a difference between that and putting the imprimatur of the United States presidency on this. There's a difference between a random guy in your group chat loving somebody that you find despicable and draping that person in the American flag in all of the historical significance that, say, the Congressional Medal of Freedom or whatever the fuck Trump says he's going to give to him. And, like, I don't care if randos, if just random citizens or just normal people felt a certain way about Charlie Kirk and want to post about how much they admired him, so be it. We disagree, but so be it. That's very different than using the office of the presidency to basically historicize this person. Is just almost, to martyr him That's very different to me.
Really important, very important. But all I was going to say is, like, Jesus, and I did say this to my friend, Jesus would be repulsed by Charlie Kirk.
100%. But come on, are we really going to try to expect ideological consistency from these people? I mean, that boat left the port, years ago. They're trying to trap these people in hypocrisy is useless, because when they talk about Christianity, they're really not talking about Jesus. They don't care about Jesus any more than Minnesotans care about Vikings. That's just the name of their team. Like, that's just the mascot. The team is the team, and the team name is Christians.
Is there anything else around this that you're thinking about that you wanted to mention or talk about before I wrap it?
I want to say it's been a real diversion from having just moved into my new home, where I'm surrounded by boxes and using moving blankets as floor coverings. So thank you. No.
Good luck with the move, buddy. I'm
Thank you.
excited
Yeah.
for next for you, and we're really excited to have you anytime we get to see you. And I hope you should stop by and invite a bunch of people to our hangouts. I think
I will.
community is the most important thing, and not only will they love to see you, I know you'll love to see many of them who you've gotten to know, because we've invited you to our live hangs in Vegas, where you performed and killed, and we love Christian Finnegan. So I'm glad you joined me here late on a Friday to make sense of a lot of things that we have a hard time making sense of, but you always do a great job of it. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching live. Subscribe at patreon.com/Pete Dominic, or I will not be able to keep doing this. Do you think that changed anything? Do you think that will drive prescriptions?
The prescriptions. No, and that's why you'll never be a big dog in this world, because you have a sense of shame about asking for money. Like, there's something in you that has to undercut it.
Click no, I don't. Click this, smash that subscribe button, everybody. How is that?
There you go. Much better.
Hey,
Very
guys,
convincing.
It's me. Smash that subscribe button.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. And go follow Christian as well, especially on the Blue Sky, where you're posting mostly. Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourselves. We'll talk to you later. Ending stream.